Alright guys, wonder they say shall never cease to end. Few weeks ago, we heard news about Commander Gentle Iyawu being spied by Nigerian army or being arrested and all that after he started mentioning names in Imo State. And something that really shocked me, unlike General Christopher Musa, he would have come out on national television as usual, telling us how Gentle was apprehended and everything. He never said anything about that. But now so we hear from different news platforms that he has been arrested. Some say they don't buy him and all that. Now this one will shock you that Gentle Iyawu is not dead. He's not even arrested. They say they see him for Okigwe in Imo State. He was moving freely. So what game are they trying to play? What are they trying to play? So guys, I'm going to drop this video. Una go see Gentle Iyawu, everything that is going on. Una go see him and everything that is happening in Imo State currently. This one are Prospect Channels TV. This one another Ubonge update. So I beg no comment. Make I drop the news. I will be right back.
Imagine being told a man is dead, only for whispers to spread that he's alive and moving freely among his people. That's the storm shaking Okigwe right now. The Nigerian army claimed they raided Commander Gentle's hideout, killed several people, and possibly neutralized him. But residents in Okigwe are saying something completely different, that they've seen him with their own eyes, alive and untouchable. Some even challenge the army directly. If he's dead, show us proof, show us pictures, show us videos. Yet, silence. No evidence, no body. Just contradictions. Compare this to Nnamdi Kanu in Kenya or Simon Ekpa in Finland, where proof of arrest was shown instantly. So why the mystery this time? Why the secrecy? Even some soldiers are quietly admitting Gentle escaped. Others say they don't know anything. The truth is tangled in lies, confusion, and fear. Was Commander Gentle really killed, or has the army been fabricating another propaganda victory? And if he's alive, what does that mean for Biafra, for the Igbo struggle, and for the credibility of the Nigerian state? Stay with us, because this story isn't just about one man, it's about truth, deception, and the spirit of a people who refuse to be silenced. The Nigerian army earlier claimed that they raided Commander Gentle's hideout, killed several people, and possibly eliminated or arrested him, has proven be lies and fabricated reports, as some residents of Okigwe in Imo State dispute this, insisting that Commander Gentle is alive and moving freely in the area. NationOnline.ng, a major Nigerian news outlet, published reports amplifying these conflicting claims, lending weight to the controversy. Local residents challenged the Nigerian army to provide picture or video evidence if Gentle was indeed killed or arrested. Comparisons were made to other arrests like Nnamdi Kanu in Kenya and Simon Ekpa in Finland, where pictures and videos of the arrest were immediately released publicly. Multiple anonymous residents insisted Gentle is alive, but none provided photographic proof, creating further uncertainty. Even some military officers reportedly denied knowledge of his arrest, saying he escaped the raid and remains at large. Confusion deepened as reports mentioned 5 people killed in the raid, including 2 women, but the second in command allegedly escaped. The situation remains unclear, with 3 conflicting accounts: the army claiming Gentle was neutralized, residents saying he is alive, and some officers denying any arrest, leaving the public demanding proof. The story of Commander Gentle being sighted in Okigwe, Imo State, is more than just a rumor or an isolated incident. it has quickly become a lightning rod for deeper discussions about truth, deception, power, and the long struggle of the Biafran people against what they describe as decades of Nigerian oppression. Reports emerged from Okigwe that residents saw Commander Gentle, the man the Nigerian army has repeatedly claimed to have killed or arrested, moving freely in the area. This revelation instantly cast doubt on the official reports given by the Nigerian military and reopened old wounds of mistrust between the Igbo population and the Nigerian state. The first problem in the story is the deliberate misinformation that has often come from the Nigerian army when it concerns Biafra-related events. History has shown a repeated pattern, where the state releases statements about the elimination of Biafran leaders or commanders only for contradictory evidence to surface later. This raises serious concerns about transparency and honesty, and about the use of propaganda as a weapon of war. When the Nigerian army announced that it raided Commander Gentle's hideout, killed several people, and possibly neutralized him, many Biafrans immediately questioned the validity of such a report. They demanded proof, clear pictures or videos, similar to the way the Nigerian government was quick to parade images of Nnamdi Kanu when he was abducted in Kenya, or Simon Ekpa when Finnish police temporarily detained him in Finland. Yet, in Gentle's case, no proof was shown. The second problem in the story is the silence. Confusion and contradiction even within Nigerian military ranks. Some officers reportedly denied any knowledge of Gentle's arrest or death. Others admitted he escaped. Meanwhile, residents of Okigwe insisted he was alive and even walking freely in town, though none could provide photographic evidence. This mixture of conflicting accounts is not accidental. It reflects a large problem in Nigeria's handling of the Biafra issue, an over-reliance on propaganda and fear tactics instead of truth and dialogue. The third problem is the human cost. While the army claimed they killed 5 people during the raid, including 2 women, it raised questions about why civilians always end up as casualties in these so-called raids against Biafran fighters. If Gentle was the target, why were women killed? Who were they? Were they truly combatants or innocent residents caught in the crossfire? These questions are rarely answered by the Nigerian authorities, who instead try to cover up civilian deaths under the excuse of fighting insurgency. To many Igbo families, this is another reminder of how cheap their lives have become in the eyes of the Nigerian state. What actually happened that night in Okigwe remains clouded by suspicion. It seems clear that a raid took place and lives were lost. But whether Commander Gentle was killed, arrested, or escaped is still uncertain. The persistence of residents in claiming they saw him afterwards suggests that the Nigerian army's statement might have been fabricated. It would not be the first time. For decades, the Nigerian security system has been accused of creating false narratives to weaken the morale of Biafrans, spread confusion, and discourage resistance. What provoked this entire situation is the broader war being waged in the southeast. Commander Gentle has become one of the symbolic figures of the Biafran Liberation Army, especially in Imo and Anambra states. To the Nigerian government, eliminating him would be a huge victory. To the Biafran people, his survival symbolizes resilience. That is why the army desperately wants to convince the public that he is gone, while residents are equally determined to believe that he is still alive. In this clash of narratives, the truth itself becomes a battlefield. The consequences of this controversy are serious. For one, it further deepens the distrust between the Igbo population and the Nigerian state. Every time the government makes a claim that turns out to be false, it loses more legitimacy in the eyes of the people. This mistrust has roots that go back to the 1967 to 1970 Biafra War, when the Nigerian state starved millions of Igbo civilians to death through an intentional blockade. It has been sustained through decades of marginalization, from exclusion in federal appointments to military invasions of Igbo communities, to massacres in Aba, Onitsha, and Nkpor. The gentle story is just another reminder that for Biafrans, Nigerian official reports cannot be trusted. Another consequence is the growing courage of Biafrans themselves. When people in Okigwe openly challenge the Nigerian army, demanding proof, it shows that fear is fading. In the past, many would have stayed silent, fearing reprisals. Now, ordinary residents are willing to question the official narrative, even when it risks drawing the attention of security forces. That courage is itself a form of resistance. Looking at possible solutions, one could argue that the simplest way to resolve this confusion is for the Nigerian army to release concrete evidence. If Gentle was truly killed, let them show his body, just as they paraded the bodies of other individuals in the past. But their failure or refusal to do so suggests that the truth is not in their favor. Beyond that, the real solution lies not in trying to eliminate Biafran commanders one after another, but in addressing the root causes of the conflict: historical injustice, marginalization, and persecution. Until Nigeria comes to terms with the fact that the Igbo people have been systematically excluded and oppressed, these cycles of violence and propaganda will never end. How far are we from this solution? Sadly, very far. The Nigerian government continues to see the Biafra issue only through a military lens. Instead of dialogue, they rely on raids, arrests, propaganda, and killings. Instead of justice, they impose silence through fear. Instead of healing, they choose brutality. This approach cannot bring peace. It only deepens the wounds. For the Biafran people, the story of Commander Gentle in Okigwe is more than gossip. It is a parable about survival. Whether he is alive or not, the very possibility that he might still be walking among his people has inspired courage. It reminds them of Nnamdi Kanu, who despite being abducted and tortured, remains unbroken in spirit. It reminds them of Simon Ekpa, who despite facing endless legal battles abroad, still speaks for Biafra. And it reminds them of all the unnamed men and women who continue to resist oppression in their villages and towns. The Nigerian government has committed atrocities against the Igbo people for decades. From the Asaba massacre in 1967, where thousands of unarmed men were shot, to the killings of pro-Biafra protesters in Aba and Onitsha in recent years, the blood of the innocent has continued to flow. Each generation of Biafrans has carried these wounds, passing them down like bitter heirlooms. Yet they also carry something else, an unbreakable will to survive, to resist, and to rise again. For the Biafran people reading this, let these words be a reminder. You may be marginalized, rejected, tortured, or forced into silence, but your dignity cannot be erased. The Nigerian government can kill the body, but it cannot kill the spirit of freedom. It can silence voices for a while, but it cannot silence a whole people forever. Every act of deception, every act of brutality, only strengthens your resolve. Commander Gentle's story, whether he is alive or not, is a story of resilience. It teaches that even when the enemy claims victory, truth has a way of resurfacing. It teaches that lies cannot stand forever. It teaches that courage is contagious, and that one man's survival can give hope to thousands. To the young men and women of Biafra, let this story ignite your courage. Remember that your struggle is not in vain. Remember that history is on your side. Remember that your fathers and mothers who died in the war did not die so you would live in chains. They died so you could inherit the dream of freedom. Hold on to that dream, no matter the lies, no matter the killings, no matter the propaganda. The Nigerian state may try to erase Biafra from history books, but it cannot erase Biafra from your hearts. It may use propaganda to confuse the world, but truth always finds a way. And when the truth comes, it will vindicate the suffering of your people. In the end, whether Commander Gentle was truly seen in Okigwe or not is less important than what the story represents. It represents survival against the odds. It represents the cracks in the walls of lies built by the Nigerian state. And most importantly, it represents the living spirit of Biafra that no bullet can destroy. The journey to freedom is long, but every story like this is a sign that the struggle is not in vain. Let Biafrans everywhere draw strength from it, for your dignity, your freedom, and your future cannot be crushed. The uncertainty surrounding the alleged sighting of Commander Gentle in Okigwe has refused to die down. What should have been a straightforward matter of truth or falsehood has become a symbol of the endless battle between propaganda and reality in the long conflict between Nigeria and the people of Biafra. The Nigerian army has, for months, attempted to present itself as victorious in its so-called war against Biafra fighters. Each time a raid takes place, they rush to issue statements claiming to have neutralized or arrested key leaders. And yet, time and again, these claims collapse under the weight of doubt and contradiction. When the army declared that they raided Commander Gentle's hideout and possibly killed him, it was not the first time they made such claims. For many in the southeast, it was déjà vu. They remembered similar declarations in the past about other leaders, only for those same leaders to reappear later, very much alive. This pattern has bred a culture of deep mistrust, where every statement from the Nigerian army is treated not as truth, but as another chapter in an ongoing campaign of misinformation. But why would the army continue to spread such narratives? To answer this, one must understand the history of how the Nigerian state has treated the Igbo people and the Biafran struggle. Since 1967, when the Biafra nation declared independence and was brutally forced back into Nigeria after 3 years of genocidal war, the Nigerian government has relied on two main tools to control the southeast: military force and psychological warfare. The force comes through raids, killings, and intimidation. The psychological warfare comes through propaganda, designed to weaken the resolve of the people, confuse them, and break their spirits. This is why the Gentle story matters so much. If he is alive and moving freely in Okigwe, then the army's propaganda collapses. It proves once again that the Nigerian government cannot be trusted, that it survives by lies and cover-ups, and that its so-called victories are often empty claims. For residents in Okigwe, insisting that they saw him is not only about his survival, but about protecting the truth from being buried. It is about refusing to allow the Nigerian government to control the narrative. The human dimension of this story cannot be ignored. In the raid where Gentle was supposedly neutralized, 5 people were reportedly killed, including 2 women. Their deaths raise serious questions. Were they part of any armed group, or were they innocent villagers caught in the chaos? Nigeria has a long and bloody record of killing unarmed civilians in Igbo land and then labeling them as militants. During the Aba and Onitsha protests of 2016, Video evidence showed soldiers firing live ammunition into crowds of unarmed demonstrators who were singing and praying. The state claimed they were violent, but eyewitnesses and human rights groups exposed the lie. The gentle raid has all the markings of this same approach. Let us pause here and recognize the recurring pattern. Whenever the Nigerian army wants to justify its presence in Igbo land, it stages raids, kills indiscriminately, and then issues statements branding everyone as insurgents. The death of women during the Okigwe raid is not an accident. It is part of a calculated culture of impunity, where soldiers know they will never be held accountable for killing Biafrans. And when residents demand proof, as they did in this case, the army either goes silent or doubles down on lies. To understand the significance of this, we must remember what Biafrans have endured historically. In 1967, when Biafra declared independence, the Nigerian state, with the support of Britain and others, launched a war of extermination. Over 2 million Biafrans, mostly children, died of starvation because the Nigerian government deliberately blockaded food and medicine from reaching the east. Images of skeletal children with sunken eyes shocked the world, but the war continued. That memory is still alive in every Igbo household. It is passed down from grandparents to grandchildren, not as distant history but as living trauma. After the war, Nigeria promised no victor, no vanquished. But that promise was a lie. Instead of reintegration, the Igbo people were punished. Properties were seized. Bank accounts were reduced to £20 regardless of their balance. Federal appointments excluded Igbos. Development projects bypassed their region. Over the decades, massacres continued in different forms. From Zaria to Yos to the southeast, Igbo lives have been cheapened. And in every case, the Nigerian state tried to mask the truth with propaganda. So when residents in Okigwe insist they saw Commander Gentle alive, they are not merely contradicting the army. They are rejecting a system that has lied to them for decades. They are demanding dignity in a country that has denied it to them. The comparison made by residents is very telling. They reminded the public that when Nnamdi Kanu was abducted in Kenya, the Nigerian government immediately paraded his pictures to prove it. When Simon Ekpa was temporarily arrested in Finland, images surfaced immediately. Why then is there no proof of Gentle's death or arrest? The answer is clear, because the army knows the truth is not on their side. This controversy also exposes cracks within the Nigerian security establishment itself. Some officers reportedly admitted that Gentle escaped. Others denied knowing anything about the raid's outcome. Such contradictions show that even within the military there is confusion and dishonesty. It suggests that the propaganda machine is not as coordinated as it wants the world to believe. And for the Biafran people, that is a source of hope. Let us think about the consequences more broadly. For the Nigerian government, their failure to convince the public about Gentle is a blow to their credibility. For the Biafran people, it is a boost to their morale. It shows that the struggle is still alive, that their commanders are not so easily eliminated, and that the truth has ways of breaking through the darkness. The possible solutions to this crisis are complex. At the surface level, one might say the army should simply release evidence if it exists. But the deeper solution lies in Nigeria abandoning the path of violence and embracing dialogue. Unfortunately, that path seems far away. The Nigerian state has repeatedly shown that it prefers guns to talks, propaganda to truth, and domination to justice. Until that changes, there will be no peace. Yet, amid this darkness, the spirit of the Biafran people shines bright. Stories like Gentle's inspire resilience. They remind the oppressed that their oppressors are not invincible. They remind the silenced that truth has a way of being heard. They remind the marginalized that survival itself is a form of victory. To every Biafran who feels crushed by marginalization, rejected by the Nigerian system, or haunted by the killings of loved ones, know this: your struggle is not meaningless. Every injustice you suffer adds weight to the cause of freedom. Every tear you shed waters the soil of resistance. Every act of courage, however small, builds the foundation of the future Biafra. Dignity cannot be killed. Freedom cannot be erased. Lies cannot last forever. The Nigerian state may try to suppress you, but history is on your side. Just as the colonizers once said Africans could never be free.
So guys, this story is really getting very interesting. So what's your take? Please let's hear from you. Drop your comments below the comment section and don't forget to give us a thumbs up. Thank you. See you in my next video. Bye for now.